So, Mr. President, how do you think your labor secretary did?
I think he was a great labor secretary, not a good labor secretary. He's done a fantastic job. He's a friend of everybody in the administration, and I got a call this morning early from Alex, and I think he did a very good job yesterday. Under a lot of pressure, he did a fantastic job, and he explained it. And he made a deal that people were happy with, and then 12 years later, they're not happy with it. You'll have to figure all of that out, but the fact is, he has been a fantastic Secretary of Labor. And Alex called me this morning and he wanted to see me. And I actually said, well, we have the press right out here, so perhaps you just want to say it to the press. But I just want to let you know, this was him, not me, because I'm with him. He's a tremendous talent. He's a Hispanic man. He went to Harvard, a great student. And in so many ways, I just hate what he's saying now because we're going to miss him. But please, Alex.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over the last week, I've seen a lot of coverage of the Department of Labor. And what I have not seen is the incredible job creation that we've seen in this economy. More than 5 million jobs. I haven't seen that workplace injuries are down, bucking a 3-year trend. Workplace fatalities are down, bucking a 3-year trend. That we had the safest year ever in mining, the lowest number of fatalities ever in mining. I have seen coverage of this case that is over 12 years old, that has input and vetting at multiple levels of the Department of Justice. And as I look forward, I do not think it is right and fair for this administration's Labor Department to have Epstein as the focus rather than the incredible economy that we have today. And so I called the president this morning. I told him that I thought the right thing was to step aside. Cabinet positions are temporary trusts. It would be selfish for me to stay in this position and continue talking about a case that's 12 years old rather than about the amazing economy we have right now. And so I submitted my resignation to the president, effective 7 days from today, effective 1 week from today, earlier this morning.
Mr. President.
There is no need at all, as far as I'm concerned. I watched Alex yesterday. I thought Alex did a great job. And, you can always second guess people, and you could say it should have been tougher. They do it with me all the time. I make a great deal with anybody. And then they say, like the Democrats, oh, it could have been better. I got $1.2 billion settlement fine from a company, from ZTE. And the next day, and everybody couldn't believe it. The next day, the Democrats said, oh, he should have gotten more. So you can always be second guessed. That's what people do. I just want to tell you, this is a person that I've gotten to know. There hasn't been an ounce of controversy at the Department of Labor until this came up. And he's doing this not for himself, he's doing this for the administration. And Alex, I think you'll agree, I said, you don't have to do this. He doesn't have to do this.
But you accepted the resignation. You accepted the president.
I do, and we have, as everybody knows, we have Pat Pizzella, who right now is a deputy, and he'll be acting for a period of time. I think you know Pat. He's a good man, highly recommended by Alex, but Pat is going to be acting, and we've already informed him.
Why did you accept his resignation? Mr. President, why did you accept his resignation? Why did you accept his resignation?
Yes, and I did have a falling out a long time ago. The reason doesn't make any difference, frankly, but I haven't spoken to him in probably 15 years or more. I wasn't a big fan of Jeffrey Epstein, that I can tell you. And now if you look, the remnants hurt this man, and I hate to see it happen. I will say this, and I say it again, and I say it loud and clear. Alex Acosta was a great Secretary of Labor. What he's done with plans, and you see the plans coming one after another. You're just about done with the 401k, and that happened. Things that nobody would even think of. So it's very sad, but at the same time, he wants to focus to be unaccomplished, and it's not on what you're talking about.
Mr. President,
Do you believe, Mr. President, that Epstein has become Well, Alex believed that. I'm willing to live with anything, John. I think you know me. I've lived through things that you wouldn't believe. Alex felt that way. And he also felt we're so good, we're doing so well. The economy, the stock market just hit the highest point yesterday in the history of our country. Our unemployment numbers are the best they've ever been. If you look at specifically certain groups, African American, Asian, Hispanic, the best unemployment numbers in the history of our country. You know, there's so many good things that he didn't want to distract from that. And I understand that 100%.
Did Paul Ryan prevent you from making any bad decisions?
For what?
Did Paul Ryan prevent you from making any bad decisions?
So Paul Ryan was not a talent. He wasn't a leader. When the people in freedom and great congressmen wanted to go after the Dems for things that they did very badly, he wouldn't give subpoenas, whereas Nancy Pelosi hands them out like they're cookies. Paul Ryan was a lame duck for a long time as Speaker. He was unable to raise money. He lost control of the House. The only success Paul Ryan had was the time that he was with me, because we got taxes cut. I got regulation cuts. I did that mostly without him. But for Paul Ryan to be complaining is pretty amazing. I remember a day in Wisconsin, a state that I won, where I stood up and made a speech, and then I introduced him, and they booed him off the stage, 10,000 people. So for him to be going out and opening his mouth is pretty incredible. But maybe he gets paid for that. Who knows?
Mr. President, are you putting law enforcement at risk by having these raids? Is the public at risk now that everyone knows that the raids are coming?
So people come into our country illegally. We're taking them out legally. Very simple. It's not something I like doing, but people have come into our country illegally. We're focused on criminals. We're focused on, if you look at MS-13, but when people come into our country, we take those people out, and we take them out very legally. They all have papers, and it's a process. And I have an obligation to do it. They came in illegally, they go out legally. What the Democrats should be doing now is they should be changing the loopholes. They should be changing asylum. I've been talking to you about this for a long time. They should be changing asylum. There's so many things. Now, let me give you the good news. Mexico has done an outstanding job so far. If you look at the border, it's down now 30%, and that's only 1 week inclusive where they've gotten it together. The June numbers just came out. It's down. It looks like it's going to end up being a little bit above 30% down. It's going to be down more and more. They have 21,000, and I say 21,000 Mexican soldiers on the borders, both their southern border and our southern border. And we really have it in control. The problem is we have a big problem. The laws are so bad. The Democrats have to help us fix the immigration laws. But even with that, because of the job that Mexico's doing, and yes, they maybe did it because of tariffs, but they're doing a great job, and I appreciate it.
Law enforcement, though, is law enforcement at risk?
No. Who said that?
Democrats are saying you back down.
Look, anything you do, the Democrats will say it's not good. In the meantime, they had a disaster. They have these laws that are so bad, catch and release, and you look at the different laws, visa lottery. That was the Chuck Schumer law. It's a disaster, a lottery. You pick them out, a lottery. The Democrats have caused tremendous problems. What they've let China get away with. For years and years, China's been ripping us off. They're not ripping us off anymore. Right now, companies are fleeing China because of the tariffs. And right now, we're taking in billions of dollars.
Steve, do you hear
and
me?
by the way,
Steve, do you hear me?
people are
You
not
need the
paying
Acosta
for it.
tape to
They're
take
paying
in. You
for
need
it.
the Acosta tape in.
They're paying for it by depressing their currency, and they're putting a lot of money. Look, nobody's ever done what I've done with China.
Steve,
and that's
can you
fine.
break off?
And we'll get
Do you
along
want to break
with
off?
China. But
You just
know,
need the
when I
tape. If you
see
can
a
hand me
guy
the
like
tape, Steve.
Biden, who's weak and ineffective.
Steve, if you can hear me, hand me the tape, I'll get it to you.
He's a weak man. He's an ineffective man. President Xi laughs at guys like that. Now, with that being said, I would say this. President Xi, Putin, all of these guys go to bed at night and they pray that Joe Biden or somebody like him becomes president so they can continue to rip off our country.
I've talked to him on this. Steve, can you hear me? Is there any way you can get a tape out to Sally?
No, I
Sally
had
will
no
be
idea.
right behind you.
I had no idea. I haven't spoken to him in many, many years, but I did have no idea.
Hey, go out this way and try to barrel in below.
I've already talked about the Epstein matter. I gave a press conference that, according to the media, was longer than any other cabinet official in this administration. You know, I will reiterate what I said previously. My point here today is we have an amazing economy. We have unemployment lower than we have seen literally in my lifetime. And the focus needs to be on this economy and on job creation, on a decreased fatalities in the workplace and in mining. And going forward, that's where this administration needs to focus, not on this matter.
Did Wilbur Ross
We are looking into it. The platforms are absolutely, in my opinion, 100% crooked. They discriminate against Republicans and conservatives. They're 100% dishonest. That's my opinion. And something's going to be done. But I can tell you from personal experience, I see it. I had something happen this morning. I won't tell you about it yet. But these platforms are 100%, they're 100% dishonest. I was not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein, and you watched people yesterday saying that I threw him out of a club. I didn't want anything to do with him. That was many, many years ago. It shows you one thing, that I have good taste, okay? Now other people, they went all over with him. They went to his island. They went all over the place. He was very well known in Palm Beach. His island, whatever his island was, wherever it is, I was never there. Find out the people that went to the island. But Jeffrey Epstein was not somebody that I respected. I threw him out. In fact, I think the great James Patterson, who's a member of Mar-a-Lago, made a statement yesterday that many years ago I threw him out. I'm not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein.
anything on Iran, Mr. President?
Are you planning to move ahead with deportation intensities this weekend? Are you planning to? You are. What about
Anything on Iran, Mr. President?
You know what? They came in illegally. They have to go out. We have millions of people standing online waiting to become citizens of this country. They've taken tests. They've studied. They've learned English. They've done so much. They've been waiting 7, 8, 9 years. We have some waiting 10 years to come in. It's not fair that somebody walks across the line and now they've become...
Mr. President, anything on Iran?
Well, I wish the British ambassador well. Some people just told me, too bad, but they said he actually said very good things about me. He was sort of referring to other people. And I guess I quoted Lindsey Graham today. He said some things that were pretty nice from the British ambassador. But look, I wish the British ambassador well, but they've got to stop their leaking problems there, just like they have to stop them in our country.
Why have you already announced the ice raid? Why are you giving warnings?
No, we're not giving warnings. No, we're not giving.
They know about the ice
There's
raid.
nothing to be secret about.
They know about the ice raid.
Can I tell you what?
Absolutely.
There's nothing to be secret about. ICE is law enforcement. They're great patriots. They have a tough job. Nothing to be secret about. If the word gets out, it gets out, because hundreds of people know about it. It's a major operation. So if the word gets out, it gets out. It starts on Sunday, and they're going to take people out, and they're going to bring them back to their countries, or they're going to take criminals out, put them in prison, or put them in prison in the countries they came from. We're focused on criminals as much as we can.
How many, Mr. President? How many?
For instance, MS-13, very important. We're taking them out by the thousands. We've already been taking, you know, we didn't stop this. We've been taking criminals out for the last year. These people have been here for many years, MS-13. We're taking them out by the thousands. We're getting more.
Mr. President, are you not
Mr. President, do you believe that using data to fill in the citizenship data on the census will be as effective as your question?
I think we'll have it in the end where it'll be actually more accurate than a census. Because we have information gotten through other means, whether you look at Social Security or other places. We have, including loan applications, we have information that's probably more accurate than the information we could get by going in and asking somebody, are you a citizen? A lot of people aren't going to tell the truth.
Anything?
No. Not only didn't I back down, I backed up. Because anybody else would have given this up a long time ago. The problem is we had 3 very unfriendly courts. They were judges that weren't exactly in love with this whole thing. And they were wrong. But it would have taken a long time to get through those courts. You understand that better than anybody, John. It would have taken a long time back up to the Supreme Court. So I asked, is there another way? And somebody said there's a way that might be better. It might be more accurate. They explained it. I said, then what are we wasting time? We're going to be in court for the next 2 years. What are we wasting time for? In the meantime, we have to, by law, have the printing done. So the printing has started, and we're already finding out who the citizens are and who they're not, and I think more accurately. So when I heard this, I said, I think that's actually better. I think what we're doing is actually better. And only the fake news, which there's
Did
plenty.
Wilbur Ross let you down? Did Wilbur Ross let you down, Mr. President?
he
Did
didn't.
Wilbur Ross let you down?
How many people are you targeting during the raid? And again, are you worried at all about law enforcement putting them at risk because everybody knows about the raid?
These are great professionals. These are people that have done this for a long time. We're really looking for criminals as much as we can. We're trying to find the criminal population, which has been coming into this country over the last 10 years. We know who they are too. We've been taking them out by the thousands, specifically gang members from MS-13 and other gangs. We've been taking them out by the thousands. So we are really specifically looking for bad players, but we're also looking for people that came into our country, not through a process. They just walked over a line. They have to leave.
The mayors don't want the ICE raid. The mayors don't want the ICE raid,
Some
Mr.
do.
President.
No. The mayors in sanctuary cities,
Christine Lagarde.
like a mayor like de Blasio, who's probably the worst mayor in the country, from New York, I don't even know what his attitude is. Nobody does, because he doesn't work very hard. Nobody knows what the hell he does. But a guy like de Blasio probably wouldn't want the raid. But many mayors do. Most mayors do. You know why? They don't want to have crimes in their cities or states.
What do you think about Christine Lagarde? What do you think about Christine Lagarde running?
Military families. What about military families? Will you is this administration going to reconsider ending the parole and policy place for military families and provide
So nobody has treated the military better than President Trump. Nobody. Nobody's even come close. And you see that with budgets, you see that with the pay increases, and you see that with medical. But you know where you see it more than any place is with the vets. Because the vets now have choice. They never had choice before. For 44 years. Wait. For 44 years, we are looking at that. For 44 years, they've tried to get veterans' choice. I got it. Nobody else could have got it. Say it. Well, I think how many bites at the apple do you get? We've gone through 500 witnesses, 2,500 subpoenas. I've let them interview my lawyers. I've let them in because I had nothing to do with Russia. Now that's come out. There was no collusion. But how many people and how many times, and this has been going on for 2.5 years. Rush Limbaugh said there's nobody else in the world that he knows that could have taken it. And on top of taking it, I've been a great president. I've done more, listen, I've done more in 2.5 years than any other president. Nobody's even close, including, we just said, Veterans' Choice and all of the other things I've got. But for 2.5 years, so now they have Mueller go make a speech. That goes. Now they want to have him again. They want to go it again and again and again because they want to hurt the president for the election. Because I see what I'm running against. You got sleepy Joe Biden. He doesn't have the energy to be president. And the people that are nipping on his heels, they don't have what it takes. And I can tell you that China and Russia, and I've been rougher on Russia than any president in the last 50 years. China and Russia and try North Korea, where I have a relationship. You don't have a man testing nuclear anymore. You have a man, wait. You have a man that was so happy to see me. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. You have a man that doesn't smile a lot, but when he saw me, he smiled. He was happy. You have a man that when I came into office, all he was doing before, under Obama, was testing nuclear weapons and blowing up mountains. And now he's not doing it. There's nothing he can say. He's written a report. The report said no collusion, and it said effectively no obstruction because there's no obstruction. And the other thing is very interesting. So they find out there's no collusion. The whole thing is about collusion. So they find out it's no collusion. Now actually it was different. It was bad crimes committed by the other side. We'll find out about that. I'm sure that's being looked at right now. So there's no collusion and there's no obstruction. Now we have a great attorney general now. He's strong and he's smart. And he read it and he studied it along with Rod Rosenstein, who worked it from the beginning. And Rod Rosenstein and Bill Barr said there's no obstruction. That's also interesting. Number one, there's no crime. And how do you obstruct when there's no crime? Also, take a look at one other thing. It's a thing called Article 2. Nobody ever mentions Article 2. It gives me all of these rights at a level that nobody has ever seen before. We don't even talk about Article 2. So, they ruled no collusion, no obstruction. Very simple. And you can only, by the way, you can only get so many bites at the apple. We got to get on to running a country. You got immigration, infrastructure, drug prices. The Democrats aren't working. All they're doing is trying to hurt people like Alex Acosta, a man who has done, I have no idea. Are you a Democrat?
I'm not, no.
I have no idea. You know what I know? You know what I know about Alex? He was a great student at Harvard. He's Hispanic, which I so admire, because maybe it was a little tougher for him and maybe not. But he did an unbelievable job as the Secretary of Labor. That's what I know about him. I know one thing. He did a great job. And until this came up, there was never an ounce of problem with this very good man. Go ahead.
And let me just add. Let me just add. You know, I hear a lot about how individuals got jobs and whatnot. Before our interview, we had never met. We had never talked. The president selected me as it should be done. It wasn't that we knew each other. It's not that we had a long-standing relationship. And I think that's a testament to his selection process.
Anything on Iran?
What do you think of the infighting that's going on among Democrats in Congress between Nancy Pelosi, Alexandria, Ocasio-Cortez, and his squad?
Well, I think Cortez, who kept Amazon out of New York, and they don't like her for that, thousands and thousands of jobs. I think Cortez is being very disrespectful to somebody that's been there a long time. I deal with Nancy Pelosi a lot, and we go back and forth, and it's fun. But I think that a group of people is being very disrespectful to her. And you know what? I don't think that Nancy can let that go on. A group of people that came from, I don't know where they came from. I'm looking at this Omar from Minnesota. And if one half of the things they're saying about her are true, she shouldn't even be in office. But Cortez should treat Nancy Pelosi with respect. She should not be doing what she's doing. And I'll tell you something about Nancy Pelosi that you know better than I do. She is not a racist, okay? She is not a racist. For them to call her a racist is a disgrace. Yeah, and very importantly, today, in a few hours, Vice President Pence and the head of Homeland Security are taking the press and Congress people into detention centers. And we're the ones that said they were crowded. They are crowded because we have a lot of people, but they're in good shape. And the reason is because the fake news New York Times wrote phony stories. What Border Patrol is doing, they become nurses and janitors and doctors, and they're not trained for that. What they've done is so incredible. So they're touring detention centers, and that was my idea. Because I read a phony story in the New York Times today, or the other day, about the detention centers, about the conditions. And I had people calling me up at the highest levels from Border Patrol and ICE, almost crying about that phony story. And they never saw anything. They have phony sources. They don't even have sources. They write whatever they want. The New York Times is a very dishonest newspaper. They write what they want. And what they do is a tremendous disservice to this country. They are truly the enemy of the people. I'll tell you that. They are the enemy of the people. And what they wrote about detention centers is unfair. Now, I believe it's going to be the center they wrote about, but we're taking a tour. I'd love to be there, but I'm going to Ohio, Wisconsin. I'll be going. But I've seen it. And these centers are, I mean, to have Ocasio say they're drinking out of toilets. She made that up, okay? That's a phony story. She made it up. And these people, I'll tell you what, I've been with ICE and I've been with Border Patrol a lot. They love those people coming across the border. They love them, and I've seen it. They love them. So one of the reasons the Democrats don't want to have a census is because the number of people in the United States for many years, for years you've heard 11 million. It's far greater than that. But we'll find out, because I'm going to do something much more accurate than the way we did it in the census would never have been very accurate. What we're doing will be much more accurate.
Anything on Iran, Mr. President? Anything on Iran?
The wall is being built. The wall is being built. We had a couple of very good decisions. We had one bad decision. It's very tough. Again, Paul Ryan let us down. Paul Ryan was a terrible speaker. Frankly, he was a baby. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. The wall let us down. Now, in all fairness, the problem with when we had both houses, in the Senate, you need 60 votes. Well, we don't have 60 votes. We had 51 last time. Now we have 53 because we won during the 2018 election, which nobody wants to say. Just so you understand. So the wall is being built. We had one setback. We had one tremendous victory. And I had a tremendous victory that was very rarely covered by the press. 2 days ago, I won the emoluments case. That was the biggest case of them all. I won the emoluments case. People don't know that by being president, I lose billions of dollars by my being president, and especially in money I can't make because I don't do deals. But I lose billions of dollars. But another thing, I get a salary of $400,000 or $450,000 a year. I don't think any other president's ever given up. It's a lot of money, almost $500,000. I give it up. I don't think I've ever seen anybody say I give up my salary. I'm not looking for credit, but I give up my salary. I get zero. But you know what makes me happy? That we're doing a great job. And I want to thank Alex Acosta. He was a great secretary.
Anything on Iran? So, sir, I asked about Iran. I asked about Iran, not the wall. Could you give us an update on your thoughts on Iran?
Iran better be careful. They're treading on very dangerous territory. Iran, if you're listening, you better be careful. big win yesterday. We have some very big cases having to be done.
You were the evidence for it.